This is the first Sunday in Advent. Today we light one purple candle. This is the candle of hope. Advent is a time of waiting and hoping. We wait for the day when we celebrate again the birth of Jesus. We hope that everyone will come to know God and to worship God.
When we look at the first candle, we remember God's promise. God promised to send a Savior to the people. When we listen to our scripture reading, we hear what the prophet Isaiah wrote about God. God is the potter who builds us. We know that the gospel witness is one that helps us understand that God is loving and just. God brings peace. This gives us hope. We anticipate again the birth and beauty of Jesus, remembering that Jesus helps us know God's love for us.
Isaiah 64 and 8 say, "Yet, O Lord, you are our Father, we are the clay, and you are our potter."
Dear God, thank you for your son Jesus. Thank you for the word of God. It reminds us that you are the source of our hope. Help us live each day among you. For us through it and bring to the Father King of your earth. Amen. God, smile. So we free. 'cause I say when it's mine was lost. Thank God I'm thank God they only say God had. Come on, awesome God, continue to look beyond our faults and exceed our expectations in all of our ways. And for that reason alone, He deserves the highest praise. Without drugs and He's still worthy to be praised. Lord, if you were all peace, He's still worthy to be praised. No lie about God. It is good to be in the house of the Lord one more time. I pray that you all enjoyed your Thanksgiving. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. You are still snacking on leftovers. Since I've got the mic, I'm not going to put my bid in. I'm not ashamed of leftovers. If you want to invite Pastor over, but we praise God for allowing us to see another Thanksgiving. I pray that you all enjoy family, friends, and food, and got a chance to just relax and really refocus on the reason behind the season of Thanksgiving. God has been so good to all of us. Amen. I'm not going to hold you long. The Holy Spirit calls our attention to a familiar passage of Scripture. We read it in our hearing. Just want to lift a few verses again out of the Message Bible for sake of understanding. Joshua 6, chapter 6, looking at verse 2. Thank God for all our visitors as well. Near and far, thank you all for your presence. Joshua chapter 6, verse 2. It says, out of the Message Bible, God spoke to Joshua, "Look sharp now. I've already given Jericho to you, along with its king and its crack troops. Here's what you are to do. March around the city, all your soldiers. Circle the city once. Repeat this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry out 7 rams
horn trumpets in front of the chest. On the seventh day, march around the city 7 times, priests blowing away on the trumpets, and then a long blast on the ram's horn. When you hear that, all the people are to shout at the top of their lungs. The city wall will collapse at once, and all the people are to enter, every man straight on in. Just a few scattered moments, I want to dive into this dialogue from the thought, in the meantime. In the meantime. In the meantime. A few weeks ago, bear with me, maybe a month now, I attended the church service in support of the organization and the preacher who was ministering that night. It was good church, or church, as my grandfather would say. Citywide mass choir, the band was on point, setting the atmosphere for God to be God. Sang songs that brought back memories of the church I grew up in. Foot stomping, tambourine banging, ushers surrounding you in a corner with a fan because the spirit was high at the church. It was a good night. The mission behind this event was valid and inspiring. There were even delegates there from around the country as a result of the organization reaching their goal. From the beginning of service, you could tell those that were present were excited to be there, or so I thought. A few moments after offering, I remember looking back a row or two, hearing a faint voice ask with a subtle attitude, "Is it time to go yet?" It was a young man, probably between 8 and 10, that obviously didn't care anything about the soulfulness of the old church, organization achieving their goal, or the preacher who was getting ready to stand. He was ready to go. He was tired of that church. Matter of fact, he had his coat on, zipped up to his neck already, ready to go. As I kept being nosy, I watched his patient mother respond, "It's not time yet, take off your coat, I'll let you know when to put it on. But in the meantime, sit down, finish your homework, and be quiet." Like a knee-jerk reaction, he did everything she told him to do with a fake smile on his face. His mother never said that putting his jacket on wasn't the end task. She even gave him a hint that it would come to fruition at some point. However, it was not the appropriate time because it was something necessary to be accomplished in the meantime. Meantime, my definition of this word meantime is the room that rests in between the present state or condition of a situation and the difference it mirrors in the future. In other words, it's what needed to unfold betwixt your start and your finish, your now and your not yet, your objective and your completion. And the truth is, this is where many of us struggle because we wrestle with the fact the aggressive hands of meantime influence involuntarily straps us down in the waiting room of life. I know it's difficult to adjust to because you clearly see where you are currently, and you have enough curiosity and vision to see where you are headed or have the potential to be. But the path to arrive there is unclear. Top of that, if you're not careful, this can become a circus for the enemy. That's right. Your perspective is discombobulated. This delay has the ability to cause anxiety, fear, depression, misconception of loneliness, insecurity, lack of confidence in what you possess. When your perspective is not focused on the right thing, this can cause jealousy, hate, no vision, no joy, no peace. Always comparing yourself to an assumed standard. This can cause regret and vulnerability. And child of God, this is why it is pivotal that that your focus is concentrated on the truth, which is God controls the stopwatch, and the hour and minute hand only rotates by his command. So when he says that's enough, and his perfect will has been completed in the meantime, I don't care where you may be at in the process or how far behind you may feel. Child of God, when God says that's enough, the alarm has to sound. That's good news for somebody here this morning that's struggling with the uncertainty of your meantime. Yes, it can be frustrating. Yes, sometimes feel as if God has changed his mind. Don't allow what you can't manage to discourage the finished product. In the meantime, keep trusting God for the marriage, for the business, for the family member or friends, or how you want him to act. But I'm sure I got at least 10 saints in the building that can testify when I look back in the rearview mirror of my life. God has always showed up right on time. You can walk in and nudge your neighbor and say, neighbor, he's always on time. I don't care how bad it looks. Keep on waiting on the Lord. Keep on waiting. This morning we searched through a somewhat familiar narrative and discovered the jewels that lay buried in the meantime. Bible says, now Jericho straightly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. The Lord said unto Joshua, see, I have given into thine hand Jericho, an backdrop of our text, which informs us that spies were spotted and escaped. Jericho's king seems to be taking extra precaution. He makes certain the city is fortified day and night. 24-hour lockdown. He instituted maximum security so that they were in position to defend themselves to the uttermost. Notice, then God's nonchalant toward Jericho's greatest efforts to protect themselves. He says, after all they've done to try and keep you out, he says, I have given into thine hand Jericho. In other words, God reiterates to us all that what seems impermeable and bulletproof to the human eye, spooky or spiritual, you are. I don't even care how big your Bible is, that you can remember all the books from Genesis to Revelation. When you first hear God's instructions in verses 3 through 5, they sound ludicrous and bizarre. I don't care how spiritual you are. Even when I read this, I'm thinking like, what? You want him to do what? He says, I want you to walk around this wall once a day for 6 days. There will be priests carrying the ark that signifies my presence, and 7 additional priests carrying trumpets. On the 7th day, march around 6 times, and on the 7th time, the priest will blow these big old trumpets until they're blue in the face. When they hear this, when you hear this, everybody will shout, and the barricaded wall will come down. In this, don't miss it, God teaches us that in the meantime, not only should we familiarize ourselves with his power, but also understand his instructions. Wait. This doesn't suggest that you always agree or even like his plan, but rather you know the command of his word for your life. The preamble to change is obedience. You don't always have to understand precisely what God is instructing you to do, rather be obedient. His command that you walk by faith and not by sight. His command that you look toward the hills for the source of your help. His command that you come out from among them to distinguish who is king in your life. God had a unique method of securing hold of Jericho. And the priest played played a major role in regard to his intentions coming to fruition. They had specific and precise objective to complete. The church, don't miss this point, because along with understanding God's instructions, hear me, comes the responsibility of recognizing who and why certain people are in your life or shouldn't be in your life. It's right there in the text. God's direction for your life should aid in weeding out people and prompt you to ask questions like, what is your role? Do they add or subtract from what God is trying to do in your life? Should they remain or be cut off? Trust me, I know the task of shedding people can be difficult. Nevertheless, the reality is there are some individuals that you cross paths with that seem to have long-lasting relational potential, but are only inserted for a season to assist you in completing the assignment. It becomes part of our due diligence to take inventory, identify who have been placed to blow trumpets or to shout. Because remember, anybody can shout, but only priests can carry the ark and blow trumpets. And this helps you to classify if they are permanent or periodic. If they are here for a moment to test your patience, or they fix into your life. If they are temporary, or if God is using them as an instrument so you can meet the goal. If they are marching around the wall empty-handed, or do they have trumpets in their possession? This may not be your story, but the truth is, I have enough shouters in my life. In other words, I've got enough people that can be replaced. But is there anybody in the building that your prayer today is, God, send some more priests to my circle? Folk that are selected to help me obtain the promise. I don't need any more folks that shout and carry on in my life. I've got enough shouters in my life. God, my prayer today is send me some more priests. Send me some more folks that would help me get to the next level and complete the assignment that's on my life. Wall of the city shall fall down flat. People shall send up every man straight before him. Look at the text. God promises victory against the city that is already on edge, but we don't see anything about swords, guns, military tanks, or even slingshots. God reminds us to survey or reevaluate people around us that mean no good, but then he reassures us that he has provided the right weaponry for the assignment. In fact, 2 Corinthians 10:4-5 says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, mighty through God to pull down of strongholds. Everything that God has thus spoken is essentially what they needed to defeat and take hold of the city. With one pertinent ingredient missing, there will bring up later, as we travel down the slopes of this scripture, it's from verses 6-19 that we witness the manifestation of God's instructions. This implies that in the meantime, that in order to see success, we must all commit to the execution of God's plan. By our dedication and making sure we do it God's way, that we show the world that our triumph is not solely based on gift, skill, intelligence, or hard labor, but except by divine appointment. In other words, don't let the zip code, clothes, transportation, or Sadiddy talk fool you. The only reason you're blessed with what you have today is because God gave it to you. A couple hundred in the bank or a couple thousand in the bank, God gave it to you. Excellent health or a reasonable portion of your health, God gave it to you. A house in the suburbs or paying rent in the inner city, God gave it to you. On Thanksgiving, whether you were eating turkey with family or a turkey sandwich with friends, God gave it to you. Verse 20, almost done. So people shouted, priest blew with the trumpet, and it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, but the wall fell down flat. So that the people went up to the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. The Bible says, so the people shouted.
Yes, yes.
That word shouting in the Hebrew literally means to sound a blast. This style of shouting often took place just before a people or army rushed into battle against opposition. Sometimes the war cry became the very signal used to commence engagement with the enemy. Here's my problem. God never said anything about warfare in his scheme to give them Jericho.
All right.
He says, in the meantime, from verses 1 through 19, he says, first, recognize my power,
Yes.
comprehend my instructions, carry out the plan. Here's the last note we want to take away from this sermonic selection is you have to have faith in the waiting. It's right there. It took faith for them to walk into hostile territory, not prepared for physical battle, march around a wall and send up a war cry, all in the name of God said so. They could have got scared, became impatient around the fifth time around this wall, or even felt ridiculous doing something that didn't make any logical sense, but they stayed the course. You see, as I close today, child of God, if you're going to endure this meantime period, your faith has to be your primary counsel. It's faith that drowns out fear. It's faith that gives you energy to keep pushing. It's faith that won't let you quit. It's faith that gives you the voice for the war cry. It's faith that gives your legs strength to keep on marching. It's faith that gives your lungs the breath to keep on blowing that trumpet. It's faith that secures victory. It's faith that lets the opposition know who you belong to. Church, don't ignore or be so quick to ask for the removal of the meantime seasons that occur in your life. There is something that happens during that time frame that adds to who we are as followers of Christ. There's an unknown poem that helps organize with rhythm what I'm trying to say. It says, when God takes his time, he always has a just reason. For a lot of growing is done while in the waiting season. For as we start to anticipate the answer to our prayer, God begins to show us why not all things are fair. When God takes his time at getting back to us, it is for us not the time to lose our faith and trust. For he wants to believe with all our hearts and soul how everything is always in his infinite control. When God takes his time, it's up to us to keep praying. For good things happen to those that can bear the waiting. As I exit, in the meantime, keep on waiting. Keep on waiting. It may not feel good, but keep on waiting. It may not look good, but keep on waiting. Keep on trusting in God. Matter of fact, the old church with no pad on the pews or carpet on the floor with the pastor with the 5th grade education, they would sing from the depths of their soul, I will trust the Lord until I die. I don't know about you. Is there anybody in the building that made up that same declaration? I will trust the Lord until I die. Even in the meantime, I'm going to trust him. When it don't look as if God even hears my prayers, I'm going to keep on waiting. You can't move me from this position until God answers or does something about what I've been praying for. And that's the type of faith we have to have, and the tenacity we need sometimes in order for God to adhere to the prayers we've been crying out. God sometimes wants to see how desperate you are for it, how bad do you really want it. Are you just going to clap for a few days and pray for a few days? Or have you made up in your mind, God, I'm not leaving this spot until you answer my prayer? I don't know about you today. Is there anybody that can just stand in the seat and tell God, thank you? I got myself, that's all right. Tell God, thank you. And he'll keep it.
go.